Alright, what's happening, guys? So I know it's been a little bit of a while since I've made a sit-down video. I am in my appartement in Paris. I've got here about, I've been here about a week, settled in okay, got some groceries, doing some adulting things. I'll do an apartment tour hopefully soon. I just want to make sure that everything's right. Leave a comment down below if you like this new kind of setup with the lights, etc, etc. Okay, so today we are talking about the top 5 mistakes that beginner filmmakers make. I wanted to make this video because I was scrolling through Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and, you know, just seeing some like travel videos that kids are trying to make. And as I was watching that, I was realizing there's a lot of like beginner amateurish mistakes that people are making that, you know, once we could talk through them, that you're gonna instantly make better films, better travel videos, and just have better video quality in general. And with all this advice, I hope you take it with a grain of salt. Know that I'm not a professional filmmaker. I'm not Sam Colder or Casey Neistat. These are just kind of like the things that I've learned. No one teaches you it. You just learn from YouTube. Everything's self-taught really, but if I can provide some tips that will just make your films better, then I'm happy to help. So the very first thing is that people aren't pre-planning your shots, and for me that's kind of like the most important aspect when it comes to storytelling or filmmaking or making any type of film in general. Even if you don't know the exact type of shot, let's say you want a close-up or a wide shot or just a normal shot, even if you don't know the exact specifics, you have to have like some kind of idea of the vision of your story, right? Like there's no way that you can go into a film without any type of pre-planning, and it's just not going to come out good. The biggest thing for me when I make my films is that, like, when I say pre-plan my shots, I'm just thinking, okay, how am I going to transition from this shot to this shot? What kind of different angles am I going to need to make this transition look cool? Or, you know, just like the basic things. Like even when I vlog, when you see like 4 or 5 different angles, like I'm setting up the camera in like straight on, to the side, under. So even that little bit of just preparation before you start filming is going to instantly enhance your videos, just because you have a clear-cut idea of, you know, the type of shots you're going to be getting. That kind of leads me to my second point of using the wrong type of music. Obviously when you're making, let's say, a travel film, you want to use something a little bit more upbeat with a big build-up, a heavy drop, like classic travel film styles that have been evolving over the past years or so. But if you don't have a specific type of song in mind, or even a predetermined track before you start filming, it's gonna make your film just look like way out of place. If you're doing like long slow motion shots with a very fast-paced music, it's just obviously like not gonna look good. So with that being said, if you want to do something more laid back and slow, then obviously your shots should be a little bit of a slower pan. Use some slow motion, like make sure that you're incorporating the elements of that song into the elements of your filmmaking. If it's a little bit more fast-paced, energetic, you're obviously going to have a little bit more, you know, shot angles, just different types of stuff that you can work with, hyperlapses, like cool shots that you can use on the big drop, with some transitions. You know, obviously like the people that do it the best are like Sam Colder or JR Ali. You know, go check out their videos. Like the biggest thing also is just take inspiration from people that you enjoy watching films from. Hopefully mine are inspiration for some of yours, but you know, for me, like I learned from people on YouTube. Like I keep saying though, that like YouTube is such a great place now to democratize the information that's out there. There's nothing that no one can't learn without just doing a quick YouTube search. Does that make sense? Okay, the third mistake I see beginner filmmakers make is not understanding frame rates. So if you're completely beginner, like you just picked up a camera, then frame rates may be completely new to you, but hopefully you've heard something of it. So essentially frame rate is how fast the shutter is moving to make a motion picture. So for example, the standard frame rate to make anything look cinematic is 24 frames per second. Like that's, hopefully you've heard that. It's used in, you know, almost all movies. I shoot all my vlogs and just anything where I'm not going to be slowing it down in 24 frames per second, and then you put that in a 24 FPS timeline. What that means is the camera is doing shutters 24 frames per 1 second, which gives it this nice look. There's a lot of psychology behind why 24 frames it looks the best. Okay, so there are literally hundreds of videos that go into depth about frame rates and what type of frame rate you should use, but just like from what I've learned, just kind of give you like a basic synopsis. 24 frames I use for, you know, just vlogging, things that I know I'm not going to be slowing down. 30 frames per second. I've heard that this is best used on a gimbal when you still want to keep that realistic look, because when you put a 30 frame clip in a 24 frame timeline, then you can slow it down to 80% and it's just going to smooth it out a little bit, but not to the point where it looks like slow motion. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, just go and watch other videos. Daniel Schiffer makes great videos. I'll try and link him. Definitely check out like YouTube tutorials on slow motion and frame rates. And then from there, 60 frame rates, which should be the standard by now. At this point, like if a camera doesn't shoot 60 frames per second in 2018, like don't get that camera. 60 frames is, you know, the average industry slow-mo. You can slow that down to 40%. By the way, how I'm getting the percentages is essentially just dividing 60 by 24 and then you get 0.4, which is 40%. And then if you go in Premiere or Final Cut Pro, then you can adjust your speed in the 24 frames timeline to 40% and it'll automatically slow it down. And then on top of that is 120 frames, which not a lot of cameras have. The camera luckily I'm shooting on, the Sony a7R III and then the Sony RX100 Mark IV, they both shoot in 120 frames, which is super buttery smooth slow motion. Like nothing can beat that. I'm sure there's way higher frame rates, but the type of stuff that like we're gonna be shooting for travel films and stuff, you're not gonna be needing anything more than 120 frames. If your camera does have it, then definitely utilize that to your advantage. Before I forget, the most important thing about frame rates is that your shutter speed should always be double your frame rate, meaning that if you're shooting at 24 frames, your shutter speed should be at 1/50th of a second, 30 frames 1/60th of a second, 60 frames 1/20th, and then 120 frames 240th of a second. I don't know why, there's a lot of science behind it, but just adjust your ISO and your aperture accordingly, or get something like an ND filter, which is going to make you be able to use those faster frame rates. Okay, and the fourth type of mistake, which kind of ties into my first and second one, is that people don't know the type of shots that they want to get. Like, I know I mentioned it earlier about pre-planning your shots, but the most important thing is like, how are you gonna cut these together to make it a seamless sequence? So let's just say like you want to make a walking sequence, right? Like pointing at the ground. Then you're gonna have to know before you even start shooting that you're gonna have to film the exact same angle, the exact same height from this same angle as you're walking along like 2 or 3 different streets or whatever. Or if you want to do like in-camera transitions where you're filming, and then you pan really quick, then your next shot obviously has to be another pan, so that when you go into the edit bay, that you can smooth those together, because it's not going to work if you just shoot, stop, and then shoot something else without pre-thinking of that transition in your head. That's instantly going to make your films a lot better. In-camera transitions, if you don't know what they are, once again, go check out videos that have been made. I'll just do a quick summary, but essentially, like, if you want to do a pan up, then the camera motion of your camera should be going up, and then the next shot should also be going up to make a seamless transition, very intuitive. Okay, and then the fifth mistake is oversaturated color grading. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, good, that means you haven't seen poor amateurish films yet, but like when I instantly see something that's just way too saturated, way too much color grade, I'm like, oh god, this looks terrible, because then like there's no point in boosting the colors so much that like you can't see the natural colors. Like the beauty of film is making it as natural as possible with a little bit of, you know, color grading to enhance the colors. You know, right now the huge phase has been teal and orange, like that kind of like color grading thing. But at the same time, like you don't want to overdo it where the skins are just looking like way too tan, like you got a spray tan from Jersey Shore. So just be mindful of that. Obviously that kind of comes with more advanced editing techniques with color grading and LUTs. Once again, go check out videos if you don't know what a LUT is. A LUT is basically a filter, like an Instagram filter, that you can overlay on your video, and it's going to make it look better. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I can talk about real quick, but you know, overall, just to wrap it up, when it comes to filmmaking, whatever type it is, whether it's narrative, documentary, travel films, just make sure you're thoughtful with your shots. Like, have intention every time you pick up your camera. Don't just, you know, oh, this looks cool, I'm gonna just do a quick pan or something. Like, know how that shot is going to be composed in the overall final film, because that's like the biggest thing, is like that's instantly gonna make your films look way better. Now, if you are a beginner just starting out, just picking up a camera, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, don't worry. This stuff obviously like comes with time and practice. There's no way you're gonna get better at filmmaking if you don't go out with your camera and just start shooting. That's the biggest thing I've learned, is that, you know, no matter how many tutorials you watch and how many videos that I can make, I physically can't make you a better filmmaker unless you go out and shoot with your friends. Just try and film a mini montage that you can put on Instagram with some cool music. You know, doing that once or twice or even 3 times a week is instantly just gonna make you a better filmmaker. You're gonna get to know your camera better. You're gonna be a better editor, and yeah. Okay, I hope this has helped. If you're a beginner filmmaker, don't worry, just keep pushing. Know that even I started there. If you go way back in my YouTube channel, there are some really like kind of cringy but still like decent quality films that I started out with. You know, just take inspiration. Once again, like look at people who you look up to and just see how they're filming, and obviously like don't try and jump to that advanced level right away, and start with the basics. Start with what you have, most importantly. I know I didn't mention too much about equipment in this video, but you know, just shoot with whatever you have. The best camera is the camera that you have at the moment, whether it's your iPhone or a small DSLR or something like a Sony. You know, just take advantage of that, because you can literally make such great films now with the technology that we have. Okay, that wraps up for this video. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Please let me know what kind of videos you want me to make next, whether it's about photography or filmmaking or fashion or whatever. Alright, that's it. I'm out.
I'm sorry, 50 dub, I even got it tatted on me. 81, they'll bring the crashers to the party. And you know me, turn the 02 into the 03, dog. Without 40 Ollie, there be no me. Imagine if I never met the broskies.